Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Thanks for joining the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zack Zo.
On this show, we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear.
That means we're going to talk about some of the best movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
So thank you for joining us. Now let's get it started in here. Hi, this is Zach.
And this is Zo, and welcome to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zack and Zo. And I believe this is our 43rd episode. I can't talk for nothing right now. This is our 43rd episode. And the reason we started this show was to strengthen the bond between my son Zach and me, Zo. We watched movies that I loved when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, and we get Zo's impressions on these great movies.
Your impression?
Well, your impressions, I meant. Didn't I say that?
No, you said Joe's.
Joe's?
Joe. You basically said Joe, not Zach.
Okay, all right. Let me say that again. We basically get Zach's impressions on these great movies.
How you look at the script and you say your own?
I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
If you like our show, then rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.com or your favorite podcast app.
And please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find the details in the show notes. So, what have you been up to lately?
Playing some games. Got this new game called Splitgate. It's free to play. It's basically like a combination of Portal and Halo.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So it's a very interesting game. So you can go through portals. You can go through your portal, your teammates' portals, your enemy's portal. You can also destroy the enemy's portal so they don't try to come back. You can shoot through the portal just in case if they're standing there.
Wow, that's nice.
So it's very fun.
Okay.
It's a very fun game.
So it's portals, but with guns.
Yes.
So you can theoretically do that thing that they did in Avengers Infinity War, where the alien was shooting like knives or tree trunk sharpened objects at the wizard, and the wizard created another portal where the sharp objects was coming back at the enemy. You remember that part?
Yeah, but the thing, it has to be on, like, they have the specific places you can put portals, so you just can't just put up it in front of you.
Oh, you just can't put portals
again,
anywhere.
This is why it's like the game portal.
Right.
Have specific places to place them.
Oh, not like in the Portal video game, you can just place them anywhere.
You still can't do that. You can't really place them you have to place it on a certain wall. Remember that.
Right. You have to place it on a wall, but any wall, pretty much.
Not any wall, because remember it was a specific type of wall you could put it on. It was only a blank white wall with like lines on it that you could put it on.
Okay.
Any other wall wouldn't work.
I haven't played in a while, so I
know.
I never played Portal 2, but it sounds like a fun game.
It is. Very fun.
As you've probably seen in the notes, I have finished Driver for the 3DS. The 3DS. Have you played that one?
Driver? No.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good game. The controls are a little bit wonky, so you have to kind of play through a couple of levels to decide whether you want to continue the game. But I rather enjoyed the game. I think I have it as I have the chip or the disc.
Wait a minute. Is it the
cartridge
one where you have to do this parking tutorial?
I think you're thinking about the regular game, the game for the
PlayStation.
Wii. I think they had one for the Wii too, and I never finished the one for the Wii. But yeah, they had one for the PlayStation, and yes, they did have a parking tutorial on the PlayStation version. I don't know if they have one.
I don't know if I want to try it out or not, because the tutorial for the whole entire tutorial is a nonsense.
Yeah,
to get into the main game.
Right. But I don't think that's an issue with the 3DS. But I did finish playing that game, and some of the levels are very difficult, and the final level is extremely difficult. But I finally got through I finally beat the final boss. Finally got the final. You know what? Really, it involves crashing your car into the final boss car. That's basically it. But he's surrounded by a gang of cars. So you basically, and you can't crash too much because every time you crash, you're also damaging your own car. So the object is to damage their car and destroy their car without doing too much damage to your own car. There are some repair shops along the way that you can just drive through and instantly repair your car, but they're few and far in between. So you got to be careful with that. So, but that was a fun game. It was difficult, but it was fun. I feel like I accomplished. I've been playing it for several years, and on and off, and so I finally done with it. And also finished Outriders, and I was underwhelmed with the ending of Outriders. I guess it's because it's supposed to be, I guess because it's mainly supposed to be a multiplayer game. So after I finished the main game, they had some other add-on games after that. And
I just don't like the ending. I did all that hard work.
right.
For him to still be alive. No.
I don't hate the ending. I don't care that he's still alive. It's just
I care. I struggle with that man. He killed my friend.
It just felt like it should have gone on. Like he didn't feel like a final boss, except that he was incredibly hard. It just felt like it could have gone on, and it didn't. Like it just kind of just
he killed my friend. I wanted revenge. I was like, okay, I beat him, but no, he's not dead. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's alive.
He killed my friend.
He's alive for the sequel, so you get a second
he killed
chance.
My friend. He should be dead.
So you get another crack at him. But see, that doesn't bother me. The thing that bothers me is like he didn't feel like a final boss. I felt like it should have been something more, something more to it, but it wasn't. But anyways, so I finished that. I finished Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds was slightly more satisfying. It was a lot easier because I did the DLC before I finished on the final level, and that was fun because I was slightly overpowered. And most of that, you just sneak past the guards. It's like you can choose to fight the whole base, or you can just sneak past them, and that works just as well. So I snuck past all the guards, and I got to the final boss, and it's basically a giant worm, and you just fill that one full of lead, and you're done. That's the whole game. So I get a feeling of accomplishment when I finish the game. I hadn't finished any games in a long time, and I finished 3 games in a row, basically. So I felt pretty good about that. So and now I'm starting The Last of Us 2, a game that it causes a lot of what do you call it? It's a very divisive game, just like the way. Remember on the Suicide Squad and the brain dude, what's his name? The Thinker.
Yeah.
He called the alien creature Starro the Conqueror, and he said it's supposed to be divisive. So and that is what The Last of Us 2 is. I haven't gotten to the divisive part. I have gotten to some of the shocking parts, but I haven't gotten to the part of the game that divides players into those who love it and those who absolutely hate it. Like you yourself, apparently.
Yeah, I hate it.
Oh, okay.
I like the gameplay. I like the graphics. I like that. I like the music. But the story, I absolutely hate it.
So what do you think you might watch the TV show?
No. I don't know why they're making a TV show for this thing. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it. So
all it takes is one mistake for them to mess it up, and I'm like, yeah, look at that. You messed up the whole entire thing. Congratulations, guys. Right.
I'll watch the first couple of episodes and then I'll decide whether or not that it's worth watching. Like, so
if the clickers do not act like the clickers,
I'm pretty sure I think they'll get all of the creatures right. I don't think that'll be a problem. I think the challenge will be the story itself, the how they're gonna handle the relationship between Joel and what's her name?
Ellie,
right. The relationship between Joel and Ellie and how they deal with the Fireflies, all the world building, all that stuff. I think that's going to be the main issue. And they're not going to follow the first game exactly. There's going to be a lot of filler. So there's
they're not going to follow the game.
Right. I'm just saying they're not going to follow exactly. So they're going to have extra scenes, so to speak, extra stuff that they're going to put in that hasn't been in the game. Because if you try to make the game into a TV show, it'll be like 2 or 3 episodes. You can put all that stuff in the game in 2 or 3 episodes. Because action scenes, because when you're playing a game, you're just basically playing like hours-long action scenes. And then you're playing them over and over again because you keep dying. But in a TV show, you can condense all of that into 2 or 3 episodes. So they want to fill it out. So there's going to be a lot of a lot of character building and a lot of world building, I believe, in the series. So I want. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when it comes to the television. And so you said you've seen the new game trailer for Midnight Suns.
Oh, I didn't see it. All I saw was like, hey, it's about the people who made XCOM, and I was like, yeah, nope, don't need to see the trailer. Never mind, I'm good. Right.
Well, the trailer looks good. I've never played an XCOM style game, but the trailer looks good.
You're gonna hate it then.
So and also I watched a couple episodes of Cowboy Bebop. So our friends at Not a Bomb Podcast, they're doing like a
retrospective.
Thank you. Retrospective.
Even though it's right there.
Yeah, I was on the wrong page. Yeah, they're doing a retrospective of that game. So I decided, and since you encouraged me to watch the show.
You mean anime, not game, where you get game from.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's an anime.
I wish there was a game.
It's an anime. So how about that? They're doing the one for, I don't know, HBO or something like. They're doing a live action version.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Yeah, on Netflix. You think you might check that one out?
Listen, they already messed up by not showing a picture of Ed. All right, they got 4 of the characters down, but they're missing Ed, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this. Let's see how it works.
They don't want to show everybody yet.
No,
I don't think
that
because he's not. Ed is not in the first couple episodes, so
I don't care. She's a part of the crew.
Well, she's a part of the crew, but she's not.
I don't care.
They did show a woman. Who did you see?
That's Faye.
Oh, okay.
It's not Ed.
Oh, okay. So, anyways, it looks good. It's like something Cho. I forgot what his name is. I can't remember the actor's name, but the actor that they got to play Spike, he looks exactly like Spike, and that is encouraging. So they're not running away from the source of the anime. He's wearing the same suit as Spike. He wears his hair the same way as Spike. So that is very encouraging. And they changed the other guy. What's the other guy? The big guy's name?
You mean Jet Black?
The one with the mechanical arm. That's
Jet
his name?
Black. Yeah, that's his name.
I watched 2 episodes. I never caught his name.
You are horrible.
So it's funny because now he's actually a black man instead of whatever he was in the cartoon.
No, he's basically that skin. He's a dark skinned character, basically. Yeah.
In the cartoon?
Yes.
He don't look dark skinned to me.
He doesn't have to be that dark skinned now.
He's not even. I think he's too light to be light skinned, especially when you talk about anime. Anime is like when they make a black character, they make it very obvious, to the point of almost racist. So, so I'm not exactly sure if he was actually supposed to be black in anime, but that's neither here nor there. He looks really good, and I noticed that they have the corgi, so it's the production design looks promising. So we'll see what they're doing with that. So you seen any other shows or anything?
Nope.
All right then. Let us know what movie we watched this time.
We watched U.S. Marshals.
U.S. Marshals. So tell us about this movie.
When a prisoner transport plane crashes, one prisoner, Mark Sheriden,
yep,
skillfully escapes and saves lives at the same time. Deputy Sam Gerard,
yep,
and his team of the U.S. Marshals pursue relentlessly, but Gerard begins to suspect that there is more to the exponential fugitive than what he has been told. Meanwhile, Sheriden struggles to avoid capture while seeking answers of his own. That was by O.B. Griffiths at yahoo.com via IMDb.
Yep. So there were a couple of words. Did you kind of clipped? You kind of clipped over. So one of them was relentlessly. The U.S. Marshal pursued relentlessly, and the other one was exceptional. The fugitive is exceptional, but for the most part, you got through that pretty good. So this movie was released on March 8th, 1998 by Warner Brothers. It grossed over $57 million in the U.S. and Canada and over $102 million worldwide on an approximately $60 million budget. And it had, well, not rave reviews, but it had good reviews. So,
hold on. Over where it says he saved lives at the same time.
Actually,
I'm sorry, he did not know. He did not save lives.
Well, he helped Gerard save a couple lives from the plane crash. Hold on a second. I think I got the reviews wrong. It didn't actually have rave reviews. It had terrible reviews. It had the critics hated this movie, and the audience didn't like it that much either. And it scored a rotten on the Rotten Tomatoes because it didn't get above 60% of Rotten Tomatoes, which is surprising because I really enjoyed this movie. Because it's like when I was typing all of this up and I was doing the research, and I was, wait a minute, nobody liked this movie? I was like, I remember really liking this movie when it came out. And so, and we're kind of cheating a little bit because Zachary was born in 1996, and I try to stay away from movies that came out after 1998. But I already made the announcement that we were going to do this movie, and then when I started doing the research, I was like, oh no, this movie came out late. But I didn't want to change it since I already made the announcement. So I was like,
I was only 2 years old, so it doesn't matter.
And plus, I really want to do The Fugitive, and we're kind of doing this in reverse order. This is actually a sequel to The Fugitive, so we'll go ahead and do this one. We'll do another movie next week, and then we'll do The Fugitive after to complete this this duo of movies. So I guess it's it actually works out better because this is the lesser of the two films. But I really enjoyed this film. I don't know what everybody else's problem is. Maybe it's just me. So this movie flopped, and it flopped hard. And if it flopped like I don't know, pancakes. So like its budget was $60 million, only made $57 million here domestically and in Canada. So that's not good. That's not good for anybody. You know how much movie that and it made $102 million worldwide. Do you know how much money the Fugitive made on its worldwide intake?
80.
No, it made $300 million worldwide. Well,
okay.
This movie only made $102 million. So after this movie only made $102 million, I was like, okay, that's done. We're done. We're done here. We don't have to do any more of these U.S. Marshal movies. So tell us who was in this movie.
We have Tommy Lee Jones as Samuel Gerard. He was in Volcano, Cobb, Blue Sky, and The Client.
Yeah, so Tommy Lee Jones is one of my favorite actors, and this movie is one of the reasons why he is my favorite.
You know, if you put him side by side by John Cena, you'd have mistaken him for John Cena's father.
Oh, you talking about
Tommy Lee Jones?
Tommy Lee Jones looks like John Cena's father?
Yeah, I mean, if you put him side by side John Cena, you're like, hey, is Tommy Lee Jones John Cena's father? Look alike.
I don't know. He doesn't look like John Cena to me. But he is in pretty good shape though.
when you see his annoyed face at times, you would think he looks like John Cena. Trust me.
Right. So this movie also stars Wesley Snipes as Sheriden. He is we've done several movies that featured Wesley Snipes, and we've kind of gone over a lot of his more notable films. So instead, I just listed movies that he's supposed to appear in. So he's slated to appear in True Story. It's a miniseries, and something called Outbreak Z. I am thinking that it's about zombies. Must be the Z. So
then we have Robert Downey Jr. as Royce. He was, a lot of the Iron Man and Sherlock Holmes. He is filming Sherlock Holmes 3.
Right. So Robert Downey Jr. is he's a great actor. There's not much more I can say about that. And he's been in a lot of different films. He's also had a trouble history, but he's back on a rebound, doing great things. So this movie also stars Joe Pantoliano as Renfro. He was in The Matrix, Bad Boys, Running Scared, La Bamba, The Goonies, and Midnight Run, as well as a bunch of other movies. Did you recognize that guy?
No.
So he was a guy, like at the end of the movie, he had his arm in a sling. He had blonde hair. He was kind of short.
Oh, him.
Right.
The one that was like, you owe me an apology.
Right. That's the same guy that was playing Snake in the other movie, Running Scared.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So
we have Daniel Roebuck as Biggs. He was in Getting Grace and Final Destination.
We also have Tom Wood as Newman. He was in Under Siege and Apollo 13.
LaTanya Richardson Jackson as Cooper. In Fried Green Tomatoes, The Fighting Temptation, and Luke Cage.
Right. She was in Luke Cage. She played like she played a matriarch character. She played a mama character to one of the bad guys. So, well, she was a villain herself, and she was a mama to the other villain. So that's the part she played. This also has Irene Jacob. She played Marie. She was in Au revoir les enfants, Three Colors. Oh, and a movie called Three Colors Red.
You have Kate Nilligan,
I think.
Nilligan as Walsh.
Yep.
The Cider House Rules and Wolf.
And Patrick Malahide, he played Lamb. He was in The World Is Not Enough and The Long Kiss Goodnight.
And then we have Rick Snyder as Barrows. Barrows.
Right.
Barrows.
And then Michael Park Chan as Chin.
We have Johnny Lee Davenport as Deputy Henry.
I think that's Davenport.
Oh, Davenport? Okay, then.
And Donald Lee as Detective Kim.
Lastly, Mark Van as Deputy Jackson.
Right. So Mark can be spelled with a C or a K. There's a war between the Marks with a C and Mark with a K.
Pretty sure I prefer a K with that, not a C.
I'm not taking sides.
I am taking sides.
I'm not getting. That's not a conflict that I want to be a part of. So that's like you have Zachary with a K and Zachary with a H. There's a war between those two camps. So I think that Patrick Malahide, he was also in The Protege. I can't be sure, but I think so. But anyways,
right. This was directed by Stuart Bard. Bard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Exclusive. He did executive decisions and Star Trek Nemesis.
So a word about Stuart Bard. He's only directed 3 movies: the 2 you just mentioned, and the movie we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
All of his movies have bombed. Star Trek Nemesis was the movie that killed the Star Trek movie franchise until the J.J. Abrams movies. Like, they wanted to make more next generation Star Trek movies, but Star Trek Nemesis killed that idea. And executive decision, I looked that up. Although I liked the movie, I thought it was a pretty decent movie. That movie also bombed. So after this was his 3rd movie, U.S. Marshals was his 3rd movie, and it was like, you know what, you're done with the directing. You go back to editing. That's what you're good at. Because he's a film editor, so he's gone back to film editing because his movies don't make any money. So this movie was written by John. That's a good one. Pogue. I want to say Pogue. This movie was written by John Pogue and Roy Huggins. Now, Pogue wrote The Skulls, The Quiet Ones, and Rollerball, and Roy Huggins is credited because he created the original series called The Fugitive. There was a TV show called The Fugitive about a man that was falsely accused of murdering his wife, and the entire series was men chasing after the fugitive. And then so they made the first movie called The Fugitive that was based on that show, and now this is the sequel. So they're still using the writer's characters, so that's why he gets writer's credit on this movie. So you can go and read the whole thing. I'm supposed to highlight the whole thing.
Yeah, I can see. Music by Jerry Goldsmith. He did Star Trek First Contact, The Mummy, and Mulan.
So, did you say Star Trek First Contract?
First Contact. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of movies. He's done some great movies. I just picked out a couple for our purposes. And I really enjoyed the movie. The music in this movie, it really sets the mood. This movie doesn't do anything wrong. That's why I understand why people didn't like it. It doesn't do anything wrong. The executive producer was Keith Barish and Roy Huggins.
And that is it for the rundown. And if you're enjoying the show, remember that you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, face masks, jersey, and more at our website, backlookcinema.com, where you can click the link to either teesprings.com or teepublic.com. Now we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some of the critics thought.
Hey, do you want that pep in your step, that pump in your jump? Do you want that knowledge like you graduated from college with an advanced degree in economics? Do you want that steely stare with the eyes of a bear? Do you have the eyes of a hawk? Do you think you can talk that talk? Can you hear their gossip with the ears of a wolf? Do you find the need to leave your peers engulfed? To nosebleed the creeless with the speed of the puma, we welcome you to take advantage of the ultimate Suma. Disarray, carnage, doom, and chance. That can't be all there is to life, can it? Ignite your insight and fan it. Read the Daily Planet.
We're back. Once again, thanks for joining us. You can keep up with us by following our socials on Instagram and Facebook at Backlook Cinema Podcast and on Twitter at Backlook Cinema. We encourage you to leave feedback, comments, suggestions, etc. Or you can email us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com. You know what? Send us some comments, send us some questions, send us some feedback, y'all. And you know what? We'll read them on the air. How about that? Say that every time. And and you know, very few letters, but maybe we'll get some. We'll get there. So as I said, we're back once again. We're going to talk about our favorite parts. So Zachary, what are some of your favorite parts of U.S. Marshals?
That's what I'm trying to think of. I would when what's his name? Sheriden gets caught and he's being questioned by the police. That was a good scene where he like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been in New York. I didn't kill anyone. Oh yeah? Well, guess what? We got your fingerprints right here. I'm like, what? Okay. What? You have his fingerprints, and you're saying that he ran from New York, moved to I don't know what they are.
Well, they found his fingerprints at the scene, but then that's when he's like, you know what? I want my lawyer.
Yeah, I want my lawyer.
And the first thing they decided to do was extradite him to New York because he was in Chicago.
Yeah, and what was interesting is like he went for a pair of glasses. He grabbed them. And then you're like, why did he go for the glasses? And then when it goes to the next, it takes a while to get to the next scene. Because this is when the fugitive are boarding the plane. And the guy that was basically convicting him of doing something in New York, he was like, what happened to my glasses? They're missing a part of the sides.
Right.
And he's like, screw it, I don't care.
Right. He doesn't realize that his glasses were broken by the fugitive. So, the fugitive broke off the arm of the glasses. He had one of those wire rim glasses, so he was easily able to break the arm off of one of the arms off the glasses, and he hid it in his cast. Because what happened was Sheriden he was a tow truck driver. He got into an accident because some dude drove on the wrong side of the road. And the funny thing about the accident is that he could have just stopped. There wasn't anything in front of him.
Yeah, he could have just stopped in front of the two cars that was ahead of him.
Well, not that. I'm talking about like after he crashed and he kept rolling.
Sheriden himself could have stopped too.
Yeah, he could have just stopped. But somehow the vehicle kept going and it crashed into something else, landed on his side. The vehicle landed on the side and really banged up Sheriden. So the fire department came. That's another part that's kind of suspect, because the fire department came and they rescued him out of his truck, and then they go digging around in his car. Ooh, look, we found it. It's like, what are you digging around in this car for? Your job is to get him out of the car, and you're done, right? Make sure there's no fire. Get him out of the car. What are you rooting around in this car for? There's nothing in the car for you. And it's like, not even the police really had a what do you call it? A
search warrant?
No, not a search warrant. You have to have a reasonable suspicion to search the car, and not even the police had any kind of reasonable suspicion his truck. They didn't have a reasonable suspicion to search his truck, so there's no reason for them to search the truck either. But especially not the fireman. This is nothing that was wrong. The only thing I'll say is that it's a company truck, so theoretically the police could probably search the company truck without his permission, but I think they still need somebody's permission. They just can't go rooting around in somebody's vehicle without something, right? So that was kind of messed up. But that's not why he was questioned by police. He was questioned by police because
he had a gun in his car.
No, he was questioned by police because they found his fingerprints.
Yeah, fingerprints
that he denied, and he denied being in New York and all that kind of stuff. So, what are your other favorite parts?
On a plane when one of the inmates asked to use the restroom, and they let him use the restroom, but what he did was he was basically being sneaky by taking the the roll of toilet paper off the spring, and then making a gun. I guess he already had the gun on him.
No. What happened was there was a gun part.
Yeah,
Like he had
okay.
certain parts on his person, hidden on his person, but there were gun parts.
The gun parts
that was hidden inside the toilet paper roll.
Yeah.
So he took the toilet paper
With it
roll
on the spring.
Right,
the spring
right.
of it, yeah.
So he took the toilet paper roll off. He took the gun parts out. He assembled his gun, and then and he started walking towards the middle of the aisle.
Yeah, because he was like, okay, I'm done. He started walking back to his seat. And when he got close to Sheriden, he went to shoot at him. But Sheriden, who was already lock-picking his own handcuffs with the arm of the glasses that he took, dodged out of the fire range, but it caused a huge hole in the plane.
Well, it caused a small hole, but because it caused a difference in air pressure, and it pulled the gunman towards a hole, and then when he went to the hole, it created a bigger hole. He was the first person that was sucked out the plane.
You sure? I'm pretty sure he created that big hole, and then he was sucked out. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, you know what? You're probably right. But see, my thing is, it shouldn't have created that big of a hole,
Apparently,
right?
Apparently, that gun was so strong enough it created that big of a hole.
No, that's
that the inmate and an officer was flown out of the plane.
It created a big hole. I'm calling foul on that. That hole was entirely too big for a gun that was that small. As a matter of fact, that gun was so small that I can't even see how it would, even though the plane is made out of aluminum. So if you hit the plane hard enough, you could probably cause a hole. But I can't see a gun being that small, even actually puncturing a hole in an airplane, let alone a gigantic hole that people flew out of, right? So that part was suspect, but it caused a spectacular plane crash.
Yeah, the plane had to do an emergency landing. It looked like it was gonna make the landing, but because there was a curve coming up, and at that curve was a hill,
right?
Yeah, it wasn't gonna make it.
Right. There were several problems with that. They weren't landing. Well, the only thing that really worked in their factor was they were landing on a road. Somehow they found a road on a map, which is also suspect. So, but they looked at a map, they found a road, they landed on the road. That worked out okay. But then there were some telephone poles alongside the road, like there are on the side of most roads, and the wings were cutting through them at first, but then it got to the point where the wings couldn't take the stress anymore, and it eventually broke the wings off, snatched the end of the plane off, and then the plane couldn't stop rolling because at this point it's off of its tires now, and it went off the hill just like you said. It went past the curve, off the hill,
into,
started rolling.
Well, it was into not a lake, but
yeah, you can call it a river.
Yeah, river.
Right. Landed upside down
because of the hole. Water started seeping in, and so not only did the sheriffs have to get out, I'm pretty sure the pilots didn't get out either because
with they never show the pilots, so we not like, the pilots like probably died because they never show what happened to the pilots, but the deputies and whatever correctional officers or whatever they're. Yeah. The officials, the law enforcement officers, they help the prisoners. They release the prisoners to help the prisoners get out of the plane.
By the way, Samuel was on the plane when it all happened, and he was helping the inmates. Making sure the inmates got out. Only I think 8 of them didn't get out.
Right, and when you mean Samuel, you're talking about Gerard.
Yeah, Gerard.
Right. So yeah, that's the main character, and he's helping the prisoners get out, and he's getting Sheriden to help him release the prisoners.
Because when he gets to Sheriden, he's like, this man is unlocking his
Right. He said, you going anywhere? He's like, no. He's like, okay, good. Help me with these prisoners.
Then they had to leave because there's too much water getting in. They had to leave the others to their doom, to their drowning doom. And then
there was a part where when what's his name? The deputy was helping Gerard.
Yeah, he
was helping the prisoners. He got Sheriden to help him, and Sheriden kind of just left the flashlight on the shelf.
Yeah, when that water got too much, and one of the officers that was looking in from the back, he was like, "Come on, we gotta go." He left, and then Sheriden was like, "Okay, this is my chance to dip."
Right,
So
right.
he took that chance,
Right.
left.
That's when Gerard's back was turned. So when Gerard's back was turned, he left the flashlight on the shelf and dipped out and left. And he escaped. And so when everybody finally got out, well, when
It was
everybody
like, we have 8 dead, but it was like, we're missing one. It's like, yeah, it's this one, Sheriden.
he's like,
You talking about? You think the river swept him up? No, I think he just has a head start.
right, he's out there. He's gone. And then what's your next favorite part?
Well, this is like directly after when they're trying to figure out how, like, it's a local officer, and this is his first time doing this too. He has no idea how to set up the search for this man.
Right. Well, he
He's
has
like-
an idea.
He's
But
like,
he
okay,
ain't
so
an expert
what
at
we're gonna do? We're gonna have the circle around here, and the 15 5 feet radius, and
No,
then
Miles.
yeah, miles, and then I was like, oh my god,
Right.
you're gonna set a perimeter 20
Right.
radius.
Now, finally, the dude was like, "What do you think we should
Yeah,
do?"
tell me,
It was
what do
like-
you think we should
Right,
do?
right,
And he's
right.
like, all right, let me show you what we're gonna do.
Right,
I'm
right.
like, yeah.
You know, we're gonna set a perimeter here. We're gonna set up roadblocks here, here, and here. We're gonna do this, that, and the other.
Come on,
he
these
knew-
bridges, cut them off. I'm
Right.
like, yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it,
Right.
officer.
Well, that's that's his job. That's his whole thing is fugitive retrieval. His specific job is to track down and capture fugitives.
And along with that scene was his co-workers, friends comes in, and he needed a new pair of clothes. And one of them, I think it was trying to figure out what was his name. Renfro, I think.
Yeah, Renfro. That
Yeah,
was the one played
yeah.
by Joe.
Came up with his clothes. Like, here you go. It's like, why would you give me those type of clothes?
Right. It's
And
some
he's
like
I told you that he
day
was like-
glow tracksuit. it was just the top of a tracksuit, so it was like a day glow tracksuit jacket. And it was like, somebody give me some money so I can buy a T-shirt. So he got a T-shirt instead. It's like Renfro was just tripping. So-
Another good scene. It's like, so to further on how to figure out how this inmate escaped and why I don't know what government of officers was what's his name, Royce. I don't know what type of officer he was. I guess FBI, whatever.
Right. He
Secret.
was I forgot what officer they say he was,
Like,
but
he was some type of. It was
he
a
ba-
secret
he was
officer, basically.
not really a secret officer, but they worked out of the UN, so they're kind of like a officers that watch out after diplomats and whatnot.
Right, and because he's on the Marshals team, because his bosses wanted that to happen, and his bosses wanted Sheriden to be caught. It's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna give you this half-ass detail where, yeah, he shot 2 of our officers, and we're pretty sure he's doing something with the Chinese. We're pretty sure on that.
Right.
So yeah, we want you to bring this man in quick.
Right. They think that he's selling secrets to the Chinese. So
and because they're searching on a plane, they find a gun. They're like, okay, we need to figure out why the Chinese guy was trying to shoot Sheriden. They was like, hold up, why are you calling your bosses for? Grab this phone, threw it in the river.
was that dude Chinese that tried to shoot Sheridan?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Dag, I don't remember. I don't think he was Chinese.
he was Asian though.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, they go inside the plane. Like pretty much everybody's inside the plane except that special agent.
Yeah,
So the special agent Royce, he's played by Robert Downey Jr. So they're looking for clues because they got the plane out of the river or water. Did they get it out of the? Yeah,
they
got
it
it.
out.
They got the plane out of the fuselage, out of the river, and they're searching on dry land. So they're looking for clues or whatnot. And I think they found something.
Yeah, they found a pen that shot the bullet.
Right. So they figured out it was some kind of spy pen. So and when they get out of the plane, they see special agent like making a phone call talking about the case, and Gerard took the phone,
cut the phone,
and
hit
threw
some
it in
numbers,
the water.
Threw it in the water. He's like, that's my phone. That's my personal phone.
And then he arrested him.
And he's like, well, get out. So he goes ahead and grabs, I believe it was, Renfro's glasses, broke them, and used the arms of the glasses to break out of the cuffs.
Right. Now, is that realistic? Can you really use the arms
I don't know.
of
but
wireframe glasses to
know.
break out a cuff? Don't know, but it looked cool. Right. So he wasn't really serious about arresting him, for interfering with an investigation, but he was serious about warning him that he wasn't playing around with dude, right? So Gerard was like, I'm not taking any of your nonsense. Like, I will do something to you if you keep messing up this investigation. So what other favorite parts you have?
I'm trying to remember. It's kind of hard trying to remember. I know there was a scene where Sheriden called his girlfriend because he wanted to make sure that she was okay, and that he did nothing wrong. Basically, making sure that he could trust her, which he was able to do. And it does make the audience question: is he really bad? Did he really do something bad that he's lying to her?
Right, and I think it's also when he reveals that he used to work for the government. So
yeah, I think he said it. I don't remember.
Yeah. That's when he told her because he needed to get her to trust him.
Yeah.
So he told her, I didn't tell you everything, and I used to work for the government, and it basically kind of letting her know that he's somebody trying to set him up.
Yeah.
So a lot of the chase scenes were good. There's a part where he's found out and Gerard is chasing him, and I think that's the part when he's being chased that he gets caught up by Royce, and Royce is followed by another officer, one of Gerard's
Diggs.
friends.
Was it Diggs? I don't know.
It could have been. I'm not sure, but so he's being chased, and then Gerard shows up behind him, and then but no, not Gerard, but the other agent shows up behind him, and then Royce turns around and shoots him in the chest. So you automatically know at this point that Royce is a bad guy.
Yeah.
So and then when Gerard comes in, it's like, what happened? It's like, oh man, I was we cornered Sheriden, and Sheriden turned around and Sheriden shot him.
I was struggling with Sheriden, and then in the middle of the gun, in the middle of it, he can't walk. He just walked right
into it.
Like,
right.
And then you see on his face, he's like, "You're a lying bastard."
Well, I don't know if he knows he's lying.
No, I'm talking about the guy that he shot.
Right. Yeah.
He looked at him like, "You bastard."
Yeah, he couldn't speak. Like, he was alive, but he wasn't in a position where he could speak or say anything. He's basically struggling to and then he's putting pressure on the wound, so he's pretending to save this dude's life after he done shot him twice. So it's kind of messed up. Also, another great part was I don't know if this was part of the same chase, but he's on the top of a roof, and the roof is near I'm talking about Sheriden. Sheridan's on the
this
rooftop.
is the same tapes when Gerard's going after him,
right?
And he's trying to figure out, how am I gonna escape. He looks down. He's like, he see cops' cars. He looks to the right. He sees there's this pulley system. I guess it's a pulley system. I don't know.
Right.
And also the train. And he's trying to figure out, can he really use that pulley system to get to the train?
Right.
And then Gerard gets there. He's on the edge of the roof. He's looking, and Gerard's like, "Come on, there's nowhere else to go. Come on, you're gonna have to shoot me." And then he basically leans forward, falling down, and you see he's holding the rope, and he basically swings himself over to where the train is at. And I'm like, wow.
Right. Swings himself over. He lands on a nearby, the roof of a nearby structure, and he just runs and jumps on the train, and he gets away. So, dude has some guts.
I was going to go over the scene where Gerard goes to the UN office, and he's like, all right, I want the truth. I don't want the full truth. And he's with his boss, too.
Right.
Because they found out that there's a Chinese man that's been dealing things with whoever else is there, along with how they lied about the fingerprints being on the scene.
Right. They had planned it.
There's no way it was him because this man is wearing gloves.
Right.
How can you say is this the man that did it when he's wearing gloves?
Right.
That makes no sense.
Right. So so they had all of this security footage of the crime actually happening, of the crime that Sheriden is accused of committing. So he's accused of murder, but when they see the footage, they see they don't really see faces. They can only see clothes.
Yeah, the only faces they see is the Chinese man.
Right. But what happens is that Sheriden actually, and this is a different one from that one that was on the plane. But what happened with Sheriden is seeing, apparently defending himself against somebody who was shooting at him. So the shooting was a murder. The shooting was self-defense. And then he walks off with a package of briefcase or something like that. So it was like, but they don't know that it's Sheriden. They just see like a figure there. So, and then after that, it's a Chinese man walks out. So later on, I think when they're in that meeting, that's when they found out that Sheriden was actually a guy that was working for them.
No, they didn't. Yeah, they found out that Sheriden was working for them.
Right. They revealed that Sheriden was working for him. Sheriden was supposed to be some kind of the kind of agent that if he got caught, they can just write him off.
Yeah.
So that was his role. So and I'm thinking, wow, that's a special kind of agent. So now that they know that Sheriden is not like a murderer, they got to find out like who the real. There's somebody still selling secrets to the Chinese, so they're still trying to figure out who that is. So they still continuing the investigation. They still want to find Sheriden though, because they still think he's a murderer, because he did shoot that agent. So and there was also that time he shot Gerald, but Gerald was wearing a bulletproof vest.
When it was trying to track him down, they found out that he's near a swamp.
Right.
And they're like, okay, we're gonna go on a swamp. We're gonna do a manhunt. We're gonna have officers with people who know this swamp. Tell me, all right, who knows the swamp? All of them raise their hands. All right, which one of you are I forgot what he said.
The most disgusting, ugliest back alley son of a bitch out here.
Redneck son of a bitch out here. And they raise their hands. I'm like, okay. And he's like, you're coming with me.
Yeah, one dude had like no front teeth, and it's like, you coming with me. So yeah, that was a pretty cool scene. So there was also the scene. So like I said, they're still looking for Sheriden. There was that scene where they're at the church.
Yeah, I was about to look
at the funeral.
At the funeral,
right?
They see one of the UN officers that they just talked with at the office go inside the church after they had seen another dude go in with a briefcase they've been following.
Right.
Because they see him go in, then come out the front, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna stand here and wait. Then they see the UN officer go do the same thing, go in. And then he had, again, I think it's Biggs that he had go in and make sure there was no other way out.
Right.
Other than the front end. But then that's when Sheriden shows up as well.
Sheriden with his James Brown wig. No, not James Brown. It's more like a Rick James wig.
He goes in the front. He confronts the UN guy. He's talking about why you set me up. Basically, he can see that he was the one. But because he's like, if I tell you I'll be killed, he was like, oh, well, that's not gonna really matter, because I'm gonna get what I want out of you. So he pulls him out of the church, and before he even gets the chance to basically put him in the car where his girlfriend is at, who also drove up, the guy gets shot in the head, even though he wasn't meant to get shot in the head. Sheriden was.
Right.
And that was by the Chinese man.
Right. There's the Chinese man that they have been tracking is now on the top.
Yeah, they've been tracking. We don't ever see again, because they arrest him, but we don't get any scenes with him.
Right. After they arrest him, we don't see him again. But
it was a good shootout.
But that was Chan, and so Chan is a Chinese man. So Chan is so basically he's on the roof of the church, and after he shoots at Sheriden, misses and hits the other guy, then he starts basically just shooting at everybody.
Yeah, he tried to shoot Sheriden, and then Gerard tried to shoot at him,
and then he tries to shoot Gerard,
and it's like a good gunfight.
Right.
Sheriden basically runs away, escapes, except he leaves his girlfriend behind because he is trying to save her, trying to have her jump over the wall, but that doesn't help.
Yeah, first they're driving off, and then they get cut off, so they had to get out the car. Or they had an accident or something like that.
Yeah, they bumped into
the other FBI
Royce and
right, the other U.S. Marshals car, because at first they were stuck in traffic, and then they finally got in traffic.
Yeah, they got
caught up in the military, and so they crashed, and so him and his girlfriend get out the car. They start running, but then there's some buildings and stuff, and the obstacles are things that Sherida can easily vault over, but his girlfriend can't. Right, she's just not in that same physical condition. So she said, just let me go there. And he doesn't want to, but she convinces him like they're at a place where she would have to reach up and grab his arm to get over.
Yeah, but she's struggling with that. So she's like, just go, leave me. I'll be okay.
Right. So he leaves, and that's how he gets away from that situation.
Yeah, and this is when it leads up to where Gerard,
You talking about Gerard Sheriden?
Yeah, Sheriden is fighting Royce, and then again, I think it's Biggs gets shot by Royce, and then
right.
Sheriden gets to the
that.
roof, escapes to the train,
Right.
and then at this point, they're like, okay, he has to be going somewhere because there's no way he's just gonna be staying here, and so they found out because he took some pills. And they found he accidentally left it in this car that he used to escape. And when they're looking at the pills, Gerard's went to a pharmacy.
Well, they didn't. He left the packaging.
Yeah,
to
the
pill,
packaging.
The little tiny
tab
that you grab the pill out of. He left that, which is weird for him to leave that.
I don't think he meant it because I'm pretty sure he put it in his back pocket, but it fell out. Because remember, he reached in his back pocket with it.
I don't know. I think it seemed like he just left it there. Maybe he was so sick at the time that he got careless in that moment.
So then Gerard is in a pharmacy, just going through all these different pills, just making sure, trying to figure out which one it could be. And he owner's like, hey, can I help you? He's like, yeah, motion sickness. I'm like,
right. So
okay.
He's going through all of these.
He found out that what type of pills Sheriden took.
Right.
And then he goes and he's like, okay, so the only way he's ever gonna really get out of here is by boat. And there's only basically one place that's happening, and this I don't know what it is called. This land port, whatever.
What it is that there are places where you load on where shipping takes place.
Yeah.
So you load containers on the ship, and they take the containers to, I don't know, someplace else. So, but some of these container ships also take passengers. So they're looking for a container ship that has a passenger, and they find it. And so that's where they basically bump into each other. Gerard bumps into Sheriden on the boat that they're searching.
Well, no. Okay, so what happened is before that, they're like, okay, I want a chopper. I want to get there. And then I can't remember his name on the head. Renfro's like, hey, don't do this. Because if you do this, you're breaking the rules. Listen to me as a friend. He's like, you're not my friend. And he's like, you always have to be right, don't you? He's like, yeah. You always have to do what you. It's like, yeah, I do.
Right. So.
And then they talking about, well, forget everything you taught me. Forget all the stuff that you taught me if you end up going down this road.
Right. Well, see, now at this point,
because Gerard is going for revenge.
Right. Basically. He's going to straight murder Sheriden because Sheriden had killed.
Allegedly had killed his friend.
Right. So he's on a revenge trip. He's going to go and basically murder Sheriden and be done with it. So that's why he goes to try to get a helicopter. Royce is actually able to provide that helicopter.
Is in the helicopter. And he's like, come on.
He's like, so you want to go kill the dude? Right. So they go in.
They go talk to the captain. He's like, yeah, it was supposed to be two of them, but it was only just one of them. Don't know why. So they go ahead and start to go search because they told him he was in cabin C, door 4, I believe. So they go down, and before they even get to the door on that level, they see him, and then he runs off, and they chase after him.
Right.
Now Royce gets knocked out by a guy opening up the door.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, he's out of the picture for a little bit then.
Right.
And so, it's now Sheriden and Gerard fighting on this. I don't know what. I guess
it's some kind of sand pit. I don't know. They're fighting. They're fighting on this deck, and then they end up in the land pit. This sand thing.
We don't know what it is.
We
they're
don't
fighting.
Know. They look like they're fighting on sand inside the ship, and then what you call it? And then Roy shows up.
Yeah, Roy shows up, shoots Sheriden multiple times in like the shoulder blade, and he was still firing too. So it looks like he was trying to kill Gerald as well.
I don't know. I think that if he was trying to kill Gerald, he would have had it. And there was too many witnesses for him to be just shooting at Gerald. He's not trying to get caught. So he's just trying to, and it would have been justified because Sheriden looked like he was going to get Gerald's gun. Or he already had.
He had the gun and he hit Gerald in the back with it.
Right. So Royce fired at him several times, and that put a stop to that. And then
now we're at the hospital. Sheriden is in bed, stitched up. Royce is, writing down evidence, I guess. I believe that's what he's doing. Gerald is very tired, and then Royce is like, "Hey, you wanna, take a nap, get some sleep? Go ahead, do it." And he's like, "No, I gotta get some coffee." And then he's looking at the gun that Royce first had, and then when he looks at it, he noticed that the numbers on the gun was filed off, and he already looked at the gun previously, where he told him to just keep it on you and not take it out.
Right. So the gun that he's looking at is a nickel-plated gun. Is a nickel-plated pistol that Royce had. So Royce, when they first met, Gerald said, "Let me see your gun." He's talking to Royce, and so Royce pulls it out, and it's a nickel-plated gun, pistol. And he said, "You know what? We use Glocks on this team. You get rid of that, puny weapon or whatever." And so later on, you see Royce. He doesn't have the pistol.
I remember he got his gun stolen from.
Right.
Yeah, from Sheriden, because Sheriden had his gun.
Right. But then later on, that's the gun that he used to shoot that other agent with. Yeah. That's how the other agent was murdered. So I don't know at what point he got his gun back. So but anyway, and then so bring it up to where you were at. He's at a place where Gerald, that guy.
Yeah.
He has the gun that they recover is an evidence bag, and he's looking at it, and the numbers are filed off, but he remembers that this is the same type of gun that Royce had showed him.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Well, the Glocks are good. You can even if they're like drowned in sand, you can still fire them." And at that time, he's basically replacing his gun with
No. What happened was he did the same thing again. He's talking to Royce. He says, "Let me see your gun."
Yeah, let me see your gun.
And then he got the gun, and it's like, "Oh, you got a Glock this time." And that's when Royce was like, "Yeah, they're pretty good guns." So what happened was, while they were talking, he surreptitiously took the magazine that was full of bullets out of Royce's gun and replaced it with the empty magazine from his own gun.
Yeah.
So and then he gave Royce's gun back to him, and
you left to go get some coffee.
Right.
Royce was like, "Hey, police officer that's sitting there, can you take us down?" And he's like, "Are you sure? I'm supposed to be." I was like, "Don't worry, I can watch him. I'm on the same team as you guys. I can watch him."
Right.
So the officer goes, and that's when Royce goes into the room after he's all clear to do it. Goes in the room, puts his hands on Sheridan's mouth, and just rips off the IVs and all this stuff that's on him.
Right.
Come on, see, all you had to do was just stay dead or just die. You was not supposed to. No, you was just supposed to die.
Right.
And then that's when Sheridan found out that he was the one that was that was the rat.
Right.
In the UN.
He was the one that was selling secrets to Chinese, and then trying to frame Sheriden, and then not only that, but to kill Sheriden so that Sheriden wouldn't find out and ruin the plan. So he starts basically doing some minor torture by ripping off the IVs and stuff off of him, and then he prepares to shoot, and then
that's when Gerard showed up.
Gerard showed up.
And yeah, he shows up, and then he's like, "Well, I'm pretty with the evidence back too."
Right.
So that means he immediately stopped, went back to the officer, or found him on the same floor, told him to, I guess stand by, whatever. Took the evidence bag with him, back up to the room. And then he's like, "Well, I'm pretty sure if I match the bullet that shot me in the vest, it will match this gun, along with the same gun that shot my partner, my friend. I'm pretty sure it will match up."
Right.
And before Royce goes to fire at Gerard, and he's like, "Yeah, that's where you see. This is your own fault. You wasn't even paying attention because I deliberately replaced the
magazine.
The magazine."
Right.
Come on, the gun you're gonna have, that's my gun.
Right. So so Royce goes to fire, and it just goes click, click, click. And what was he thinking of? Like, even if he had shot and fired at and shot,
basically he was gonna
Gerald.
The story he was like, "Oh yeah, Sheridan got up, he was gonna escape, and then he shot him."
Right, I guess. But that was,
or basically he was helping Sheridan escape, so I had to shoot him.
Right. I guess he could have did both of those. So So that didn't work. So
That didn't work. So he goes ahead and reach for a second gun because he plays off like, okay, you can go ahead and arrest me. Plays it off and then reach for a second gun, and that's when Gerard shoots him.
Right.
Like, okay, one shot. There we go.
Right. And that's basically how the movie ends.
The movie ends like, okay, yeah, Sheriden was innocent. We got his name clear. He's going off to be with his girlfriend. Gerard's going off with his team to spend time with them, to have a drink over the loss of a friend after a long, very long night of just hunting for one man.
It wasn't just, it was like a couple of days.
Yeah, couple of days. Long couple of days. Barely any sleep, I'm guessing. Trying to search for one man.
Well, you know what? Like, as I said, it was a pretty good movie. Maybe a couple of plot holes, but still, it was way better than what people said it was. And like I said, I don't understand. What did you think of this movie?
It was not bad. It was good.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't a flop. Oh, at least I don't feel like it deserved that. It must have been whatever movies that were out at the time. But at the same time, it wasn't just that people didn't go to see this movie. It was also that people didn't like the movie. So I don't understand. It's very confusing to me. So at this time, we are going to talk about some of the trivia attributed to this movie and the things, the shenanigans that had went on in the making of this movie. So for the scene where Sheriden, that's Wesley Snipes, escapes by swinging onto a moving train, which was shot in East Harlem, New York, stuntman Clay Donahue, that's a good last name. Stuntman Clay Donahue Fontenot performed the stunt as it is seen in the film. He swings from the building on a 70-foot long reinforced cable and landed on the roof of a train station alongside a passing train. Because of the logistics of the scene, no safety net or airbag could be used, making it a one-time only shot. It took 10 weeks to plan the shoot and 8 hours to set it up. It lasts for 7 seconds in the film.
Wesley Snipes dislikes shooting scenes where he is in water, of which there are 2 in the film, as he cannot swim.
Which is weird that the martial artist, famed actor, cannot swim, but it is what it is, right? Hopefully by now he's learned. In the original script, Samuel Gerard, Tommy Lee Jones, was introduced dressed up as a priest. Stuart Bard and costume designer Louise, I don't know if that's Louise or Louis Frogley, didn't find this interesting enough. So they came up with the idea of the chicken outfit. And yeah, that was kind of a trip.
For shooting the scene of the airplane crash, the production leased a real Boeing 727 from a Las Vegas casino owner, purchased 2 fuselages for the post-crash scene, and built a 1,000-pound model for the actual moment of impact. The scene of the crash was shot on a miniature road 1,200 feet long, with the 1,000-pound model plane moving at 60 miles per hour. Because it was a one-shot only situation, it was filmed by 9 cameras. The sequence was primarily directed by visual effects superior Peter Donen.
Yeah, Donen sounds good.
And in total, the entire scene took 75 people 6 months to bring it all together.
Now that's impressive, and that's a visual effects supervisor, not
supervisor. Okay,
but yeah, Peter Donen. So that is impressive. It took 75 people 6 months to bring that all together. I think that's where all the money went. Really, pretty much all the money went to that plane crash shot. That is impressive. So hold on a second. My bad. It's early in the morning, folks, and I got to get my yawns out. For shooting the scenes on the plane, director Stuart Baird, I'm still having problems with that one. Director Stuart Baird and production designer Meyer Ahmed. Production designer Meyer. See, I'm tripping up.
Meyer Ahmed.
I'm gonna say Meyer Ahmed.
Ahmed. It's Ahmed.
No, it's Ahmed. You don't pronounce the H in Ahmed.
I'm pretty sure you do.
No, you don't. It's like Ahmed Johnson. Remember Ahmed Johnson?
No.
That was a wrestler that I liked once upon a time. So that's how you say his name. That's how it's spelled. So production designer Meyer Ahmed looked at a real prisoner transferred planes, but were disappointed to find that they looked exactly like regular planes. As such, they came up with the design of a plane seen in the film, the feet restraints and the cage door, the mechanical locking system, the open toilet, etc.
Wait, what did they expect for a prison plane to look like that? Come on now, no.
I mean, you would expect at least some restraints, but they had like some really fancy restraints.
To
like
be honest, like they did the same thing for
Con Air.
Con Air, where they had a cage for the
Right.
plane.
They had a special cage for especially dangerous criminals.
Yeah, for the dangerous ones, they definitely had a cage for them.
Right.
Towards the end, towards the end of the production shoot, the cast and crew had to wait several days without filming for Robert Downey Jr. to show up and finish the movie. The only scene left to shoot was a hospital scene, and there was no way to shoot without him there. He finally arrived and finished his scenes, reportedly without feeling the need for explanation or an apology to the people who waited. Downey's struggles with repeated drug addiction and convictions were well known at the time.
Yeah, so it was getting to the point where he was getting really hard to cast, and to the point where he wasn't going to be hireable anymore because of his shenanigans. So that's why when he was cast as Iron Man in the very first movie, there were a lot of people that were very much against it, especially the studio. Not because he was a bad actor, but because he was unreliable at this point. But at this time, he had been to rehabilitation, and basically he's telling folks, "I changed." But
it showed.
The studio was still skeptical.
But like I said, it showed. He changed.
Right. But the director and producers, the film producers, they stuck by their guns, and it turns out he did change his life around, and it turned out basically started the MCU. So I'm glad he was able to turn his life around. So Samuel Jackson was originally cast as Mark Sheriden. So that would have been interesting.
Yeah, in the bar scene at the beginning of the movie, the U.S. Marshal crew is watching themselves on television. The reporter throws it back to Lester, better known as now NBC Lester Holt, who was at the time the anchor at Chicago WBBM. Holt was also in The Fugitive that came out in 1993, the movie to which this is a spinoff.
What I was surprised by is that how young, because you barely see him in a scene on the television. I was like, oh, look at young Lester Holt. Robert Downey Jr. did not enjoy working on the production, and in an interview shortly after its release, he said of the film, "It's possibly the worst action movie of all time, and that's just not good for the maintenance of a good spiritual condition. You've had a traumatic year. You've been practically suicidal. What do you think would be really healing for you? How about like 12 weeks of running around as Johnny Handgun? I think that if you talk to a spirit guide, they would say, that'll kill you. I thought maybe there was something I was missing. And what I really needed was to be in one of those films that I loved taking my kid to. But I wound up being really depressed. But it wound up being really depressing. I'd rather wake up in jail for a TB test than to wake up another morning knowing I was going to be in a set of U.S. Marshals." Ugh, you really didn't like this movie.
Joe Pantolomino said one of the location filming, when the studio sends you a basket of mosquito repellent, you know you're in for a tough one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when they had to go to the swamp, because he was putting on repellent.
Right.
Because his character was like, I hate swamps.
Right. Yeah, so you go to the swamps, you're going to need a boatload of insect repellent. And finally, in the final act of the movie, Roy says that he got a Glock 40 because he wants to emulate Samuel Gerard. the Glock 40 model was not introduced until 2015, 17 years after this movie was made. The nomenclature Glock 40 does not refer to the model as it is typified by all Glock handgun production line. Instead, it refers to the caliber. In this case, it refers to a Glock. Instead, it refers to the Glock in 40 or .40 caliber, which would have likely been a Glock Model 22 introduced in 1990. So, that's it for the trivia. That was the behind the scenes shenanigans. So we're gonna see what the critics thinks. What the critics thought. The critics gave it a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience gave it a 53%, and in IMDb reviews, it was a 6.6 out of 10. As I said, I don't understand. And then when I looked for critical reviews of the movie, there were hardly any positive reviews. It's like hardly any critic had anything positive to say. But this is a lot better than a lot of movies that have come out that people have loved and praised. It's like it's just as good as any other action movie. So I don't understand. I'm struggling. You heard I'm struggling. So let's see what the critics thought.
We have Mike Clark from USA Today. The movie is basically a clip reel of action production numbers, though admittedly some of these are staged with ta-da-da-da-da scenes of showmanship.
I think he means to say ta-ta-da. With that ta-ta-da sense of showmanship.
Ta-da-da-da-da?
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to say. What's the next one?
Michelle?
I think that's Michael.
Okay, Michael Deniqua?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, the movie from themoviereport.com. Jones is obviously energized by the more physical role Gerard plays in this installment.
Yeah, he was. Tommy Lee Jones was definitely the action hero in this movie. So, Roger Ebert, our frenemy from the Chicago Sun-Times, says, yes, Jones is right on the money, and Snipes makes a sympathetic fugitive, but it's the story that has to pull this. But it's the story that has to pull this train, and its derailment is about as definitive as a train crash in the earlier film, which I cannot agree with that. Like, he's saying that he liked the actors, but he didn't like the story. But the story was pretty good. It didn't really fall apart for me. And finally, the staff at Entertainment Weekly, they gave it a B-. So that was their positive review.
That's not even a review. That's just
I could have like done a deep dive and clicked on a link and find out what they wrote, but I was like, I'm not going through all of that. I'll just say that they gave it a B- and call it a day. So finally, U.S. Marshals is, as of this recording, available on HBO Max. The next episode, Major League, and that's available right now on Amazon Prime. We have a special guest, Malik Coleman, from the Ice Cold Show, a podcast that's available everywhere. One last time, if you like this show, then please help us grow. To do this, you can rate us or write a review on podchaser.com, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. You can also share our show with someone. Use a hashtag or @BacklookCinema on your favorite social media sites.
Don't forget that you can contact us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com.
Believe me, it matters. Be safe, hug your loved ones, and